So during the Christmas holidays, I got infected by the fiber arts fever. All I want to do is knit and spin yarn and just live a slower, simple life. Disclaimer, I don't know how to spin, or I've tried spinning. This is my first wheel. I'm a complete beginner. I've seen lots of videos on YouTube that say, oh, stay away from antique spinning wheels as a beginner because there's all these things you need to take into account for, and perhaps your spinning wheel doesn't work and it might need lots of repairs, and if you're not a carpenter then perhaps you don't have access to the tools or materials you need to restore your wheel. And that's fair enough. I have seen lots of wheels, expensive antique wheels, that look like they don't work. So that advice is completely true. Luckily for me, I saw this wheel, and sure, there are some repairs that have been done to it, but I could tell that it's a functioning wheel. So today I will show you how I try to clean this up and to get it in working condition. I got this wheel yesterday, and here where I live it's winter and the sun goes down at 3, so when I started to dust this off and maintain it, it was evening, so the light is a bit bad and I can tell that there's still quite a bit of dust that needs to be cleaned off here, but that's fine. So let's have a look. So what I'm doing here is removing the drive band. I was going to keep it, but at a closer look you see that it is quite old and yellow, and it's yellow because it's been oiled up, so I just decided to replace it and get a new one. I just decided to wipe off the dust with a damp cloth. I had only seen pictures of it, so this was my first time really taking a look at the wheel.
Now this part of the wheel was very interesting to me. I could tell that these two pieces here were new, just because the color was completely different. But what was interesting was that they completely recreated the original pieces. So somebody went to a professional to get these done, and I thought that was really nice. Somebody really loved this spinning wheel, so I thought that was just fantastic. That being said, this wheel has had major surgery. As you see here, it looks like it has cracked at some point, but then they reassembled it and screwed it on. When I took a closer look at this, I don't think it will be a problem. It's what you get with older wheels, and somebody did a really good job trying to fix this up. Instead of using a very liquidy oil to lubricate the moving parts, we've opted to use Vaseline. Now, I do understand that this will swell up some parts of the wood, and I need to make sure that they're still movable, but I don't think that this is a problem at all, because the environment where I live in the winter, it gets very cold. And this means that we have to burn firewood all the time, which means that the air gets very dry. And when the air gets dry, the wood can crack. So I would rather there be some sort of moisture than none at all. So I think it will be just fine.
So after the camera died yesterday, I was very excited and couldn't help myself. So I started to spin. And you see that it's halfway full already. I did run into some issues, but it has nothing to do with the wheel per se. It's this chair, the position that I'm using, it sort of leans inward and downward. So I find that it's difficult for me to keep a good tempo on the machine. Also, I found that I kept pushing it away from me, and then you lose the rhythm and the continuity. So what I did was I added a yoga mat underneath this wheel just to keep it put. If I want to do it nicer, perhaps I'll get a nice looking mat, but for now it works and I don't feel the need to buy more things. I'm very happy with this. So let's take a closer look. So when I start to have a hard time separating the fiber, then I get this here, and then I have this clump here that doesn't, like the fibers aren't aligned, so I just get a ball of wool. So if I try to, let's see, try to even out like that. Okay, so after taking a closer look at the results,
you can see here that there's quite a lot of overspun yarn, but then there's also yarn that's not even spun, it's just thin strands. I figured that there was something wrong here. So what I did was I went online, and on Jillian Eve's channel, she had a really smart tip. So basically I had the tension wrong here, and she put stickers on the bobbin and this whorl part here, and basically the bobbin is supposed to move faster. And to confirm this, one can just try it out. Let's see, if I go like this, technically the bobbin should go faster now, and it does. So that was, I felt like that was a very smart trick, and I was very thankful for her video helping fools like me trying to spin on this. So I think I just have to do some minor adjustments and be a bit more careful about the tension. It could be that I have to replace this with something else, but I find that this works just fine. The original band that was there, as you saw earlier, it was quite thicker and it was oiled, the whole thing, and it didn't work. So it could be because it's just very old, so I just decided to replace it, but I don't think there's a problem with this at all. It's just my setup here, and we've also added 2 small washers here, because what I noticed was that the bobbin, it's an old wheel, it had bent the wood here, so it was resting inwards and preventing this from moving as it should. So that I added 2 washers there, and now it works just fine. But for the purposes of this video, we'll leave it at that. My first try. I don't think it's that bad for a complete beginner. What do you think? So it occurred to me that I didn't even tell you anything about the background of this spinning wheel. I got this spinning wheel from a lady around my region. I got it for 200 Norwegian kronos. I suppose these days that's about $15–20. When I asked her about this, she said that this belonged to her mother-in-law, but she didn't know how old it was, and that her mother-in-law lived in or came from northern Norway. So yes, this is a Norwegian spinning wheel. There is a name at the bottom of this wheel, but I don't want to expose that person, so I will leave it at that. But I thought it was nice that somebody wrote their name and that the history is there, and there's also some markings here. I think there was a dog that was chewing at this, which makes sense because when we came to pick this up, there was a dog in the house. So, but other than that, I think this spinning wheel was basically free for what it is. The bobbin is quite small and I don't have another one, so we'll see what I'll do about that. But this gives me a great chance to learn how to spin, at least on this wheel, and to learn how to use different types of fiber. I would expect, because the bobbin is so small, that I would make very thin yarn, even thinner than
what I did on my first time, and it could be that I have to ply the yarn on a spindle. I don't think it could hold another round, obviously, and I don't want to have small skeins because I don't want to tie in loose ends. Alright, so I will leave it at that. So I've been spinning with my self-made spindle as well. Let's try to compare. I think it looks the same. Well, then maybe I can try to apply these together. See what we